Hey folks, welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Policy Genius. Look, summer's coming to an end and the leaves are about to fall. When Mother Nature does her thing to prepare for the new season, you can do yours by getting free life insurance quotes with Policy Genius. If someone relies on your financial support, whether it's a child, an aging parent, or even a business partner, you need life insurance to properly provide for their families. Most people need 10 times the life insurance coverage that they get through their employer. This is really important because you want these folks, if something really bad happened to you and you were to be killed or die, you want your loved ones to be cared for in the lifestyle that they have grown accustomed to. And I love Policy Genius because it makes shopping for life insurance so simple and so easy. They make it easy to compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. And why do you want to compare? Because you could save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius, which could be $1,300 or more per year on life insurance by using Policy Genius to compare policies. The licensed experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies, so you can trust them to help you navigate every step of the shopping and buying process. That kind of service has earned Policy Genius thousands of 5-star reviews across Trustpilot and Google. Eligible applicants can get covered in as little as a week thanks to an award-winning policy option that swaps the standard medical exam requirement for a simple phone call. This exclusive policy was recently rated #1 by Forbes Advisor, higher than options from Ladder, Ethos, and Bestow. All you have to do is head to policygenius.com/smokingtire. That's policygenius.com/smokingtire. In minutes, you can work out how much life insurance coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to find your best price. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle the paperwork and the scheduling for free. Policy Genius doesn't add on any extra fees. So head over to policygenius.com/smokingtire to get started right now. That's policygenius.com/smokingtire to get started right now. Because when it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. We're also brought to you by Auto Tempest. You've been hearing about them forever. You know how it works. Auto Tempest is the place to go. Why? Because Auto Tempest is all the places. They make searching for your next car nice and easy. You no longer need to spend time going to individual car sites like Cars.com, TrueCar, or Carvana. They bring all those listings to one place. Plus, they even link you to Facebook Marketplace and nationwide Craigslist results. They also now offer search alerts, so you can sign up to receive emails when new listings that match your search show up. We have a project that we are working on, and I can't talk about it quite yet, but it requires finding some cars. And all I know is that I've never had a more convenient and easier way to find these cars than at Auto Tempest, because it brings everything into one place. I am busy. I don't have the time to look everywhere, individual sites for individual cars. You get all the cars in one search at autotempest.com/TST. Use the /TST so they know we sent you. That's autotempest.com/TST. And look, when you're out driving that car, you know what you need the protection of? Off the Record. OTR, baby. Off the Record is a service that helps you get matched with a qualified attorney anywhere in the country to fight that ticket. You should not plead guilty to a moving violation ever. Why? Because it's so easy to not do that with Off the Record. All you have to do is type in the state you got your ticket, answer a couple basic questions, or upload a photo of the ticket, and Off the Record will match you with a qualified attorney who will fight that ticket on your behalf. You don't have to go to court. They will go to court for you. They have a 93% success rate, and they got a money-back guarantee if they're unable to keep the ticket off of your record. See, that's the thing. Paying the fine is just the beginning. Once the ticket's on your record, you're in the system, your insurance premiums are going to go up, and it's not just that fine. It could be thousands of dollars over many years that is added to your insurance because of that one ticket. Off the Record gets that ticket off of your record and keeps it off so you can keep driving worry-free and be out of that ecosystem. We have sent hundreds of people to Off the Records in almost every state in the country. I get letters from people all the time. They say they used Off the Record, they beat that ticket, and thank you so much for introducing it. So go to offtherecord.com/TST or use code TST10 on the Off the Record app. This is a code that will get you 10% off all services from Off the Record through May of 2023. So you could download it, write down that code now, and keep that handy, because you don't want to be sitting on the side of the road panicked about that ticket. You want to know you got Off the Record in the bag. And we're also brought to you by Dylan Optics, the official eyewear of the Smoking Tire podcast. I've been wearing these Dylans for 10 years now. They're fabulous glasses. They got that signature matte finish look that comes in a bunch of different colors, the blue, green, gold, red, black, silver, bunch of different frame styles, aviator style, wraparound style, wayfarer style. They're adding new styles seemingly every year, and you can mix and match the different colors to know that you have a pair of glasses that you're not going to be seeing on somewhere else when you go down to the beach, when you go to the mall. It's going to be your glasses and only your glasses. They have a little like configurator like cars do. They're made using Italian and Japanese parts in Scottsdale, Arizona. We like them very much. And I've been wearing them for so long, like I never want to wear anything else. Like, they really help me keep my eyes feeling good after long days of driving, long days in the desert. I'm just so about Dylan Optics. So if you go to thesmokingtire.com and click on the partners tab, right? That's where you find our partners, our retail partners. And you go on that Dylan Optics link right there. You can click on my face. You can click on the title. It will bring you to Dylan Optics website. They'll know you came from us, and we will send you a free Smoking Tire t-shirt with every pair of Dylans you buy. You buy 3 pairs, we send you 3 shirts. It's like that. It's that easy. And man, I'm going to be rocking these things for the rest of my life. Dylan Optics is the official eyewear of the Smoking Tire podcast. All right, folks, on this episode of the podcast, Zach and I are doing a cruise show. I'm back in town after being East Coast for a wedding and checking out an East Coast Cars and Coffee and some of the crazy stuff they've got going on over there. We are also taking a lot of your questions, talking about Porsches, electric cars, the state of autopilot in Germany, and more. It's a cruise show on the Smoking Tire podcast. You know what I've learned about decaf coffee is that I can drink a shitload of it and it'll fuck my stomach. It fucks your stomach. I mean, if I drink that much, it just destroys my stomach.
Still has the acid, yeah.
Fuck.
Well, I mean, you know, you shouldn't. How much are you trying to drink?
I mean, I'm not drinking that much. I'm not drinking like a gallon of it, but I could drink like, 2 coffee mugs worth, and like that's enough.
Is that how much coffee you used to drink anyway?
Yeah. So I'm not having like a panic attack, but like my stomach still feels it.
Was your stomach fucked up from coffee before?
I don't know. I think weed might have mellowed it out, actually.
Oh, now you're getting the full.
Now I'm getting the full
acid.
Monty. I'm also just fucking crazy anxious today because of all. So for the first time in weeks, I'm crazy anxious today because, as it turns out, when you're running 2 businesses and buying real estate, commercial real estate that's in a very complicated escrow process, and renovating a house, being on an airplane for 5 hours on a Friday and then again for 5 hours on a Monday is fucking horrible. And then if the internet doesn't work unexpectedly on one of those flights, as happened today, and almost all of the work I expected to get done on the plane after drinking those 2 cups of decaf and getting up early, I couldn't get done. And so now I landed with just an enormous fucking pile of shit in my lap. And we're supposed to go tomorrow to San Diego to film 2 cars. That's 2 hours, 20 minutes each way.
Yeah.
So that transit time is like time that like maybe somebody could get work done in the car there, but like I can't. We're supposed to go to Button Willow and back, which I just decided to cancel to drive what turns out to only be 1 car. And then to Willow Springs on Thursday. So it's 3 days in a row of 2 hours plus each way transit.
Where you can't really do that much.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's really frustrating for me, and it causes a lot of anxiety because the product that we're selling, which is mainly our car review videos, when you have to spend so much time transiting when you can't be doing something else, you don't have any time left to run the business. And the business is how you make money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like you have to choose whether you're creating the product that you're going to make money or actually making the money and running the business. And it's really, really hard to do both at the same time.
Well, but you're also running
another business.
Renovating a house is almost like all these things require logistics and attention.
Yeah.
So if you just think about it like you're running 4 businesses, that's what's happening. Because if it was just TST and the two of us,
it would not be that big a deal. It would be fine.
But the fact that it's 4 businesses, really, that's
and we're transitioning. You know, someone quit at WCCS, and so I have to hire somebody new and train them in an unexpected way. It was not planned for, and you know, it's a small business. It's not like I have 20 employees and someone could just be moved over to cover the shift. If someone quits, I lose 25% of my workforce.
Yeah, that's the glass half empty way to
you know
look
what
at
I'm
it.
saying?
Must, yeah.
And it's a 7-day-a-week business. And if I'm not prepared to like have those shifts covered, you know, I needed to hire, you know, vet, interview, get someone in here, get them trained.
Right.
You know, and
you don't want to rush it, but you need it to be quick.
Yeah, you need to hit the ground running.
Right.
You know, fortunately, my hiring process was okay, and we found someone that I like his vibe, and it seems like he's pretty cool. Priorities seem like they're in order. Has some of the skills, experience that we need here, which is great. So it's a good starting point. But like, fuck me. I feel very anxious and very stressed out about all these things that need, and I knew this week was coming.
Yeah.
Last week, I knew this week was coming. And like the fact that it started, that I started this week by having no fucking internet on the plane to do the emails that sat since Friday, because I was at my cousin's wedding this weekend, which was great. Fully outdoors on a lake. It was great. Beautiful breeze. You know, they made everyone give. I mean, there wasn't someone checking. I actually hoped somebody would be there checking. They sent emails saying you have to be vaccinated and you have to get self-tests, which I did the at-home tests. You get at CVS. Those are simple.
Yeah, they're supposed to work really well.
They said I was negative, so let's hope it's fucking right. But you know, I don't know how to say if it. You know, what I mean, it's not
like a pregnancy test,
right? I hope it's right, but it's way more convenient to keep a couple of those in the house than it is to fucking have to go to an urgent care or something.
Definitely.
But fully outdoors, nice breeze, and I saw my extended family for the first time since my own wedding in April 2019. So that was very nice. But you know, I got home from that at 11:30 last night, went to the fucking airport at 6 a.m. this morning, so.
Yeah, and that's why the Bronco video was published late, because you didn't have internet.
Yeah.
And then I finally got a message through to me, like in a bottle, at like 11.
Dude, the internet came back on with 30 minutes left in the flight. I had my fucking laptop open, and I was refreshing pages for like 3 hours. Just to try to get to the fucking YouTube thing to publish the video, and I couldn't even get to you. I couldn't. Not only could I not get to YouTube, I couldn't text you to do it.
Right.
And like, so the video goes up 2 hours late. Who gives a shit? But like, you know, it's just like one more fucking thing.
Yeah. Well, if you're trying to run all of these entities, that's when it really grinds to a halt. Like JF is the only person I've seen, and I'm sure there's more, but like who can really operate through with a phone the way he can a computer, you know. But
Magnus doesn't have a fucking computer.
He got one last year.
Did he?
Yeah, it was a big change.
Yeah.
But that's also why his emails were always very brief.
Right.
I realized. But
there are people who can run their whole life on a phone.
Well, it's because they have to.
Yeah.
I think Jeff hit a point where he had to do that because he travels so much, but I prefer using a laptop. I'll get emails in the middle of the day. I'm like, I'd really rather write this with a keyboard, because it will be a longer email back and it'll be more thought out.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them. I have a lot of, and it's not just that. Like, I need to have my notebook there too, because without the notebook, the emails don't make it to the to-do list. You know what I mean? I can't do some virtual to-do list. It will not work. I need the notebook.
You don't transfer? You don't use Notepad on the phone? I like Notepad on the phone. It helps me.
I'll never look at it. I need to have the book. And so it's crazy how packed it is, how packed in it is. Where if I don't have internet for 4 hours, it fucks up the whole rest of the shit.
It sets you back 4 hours or a day, depending on what you're working on. Yeah.
So I think it might get better because we're canceling the shoot on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're not going to go to the KW track day event.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because we love KW, but
Sure.
there's only one car to drive.
Yeah.
And neither of us, I realize, have track-worthy cars to drive. Like, mine's not ready, and you don't have...
Yeah, we got invited to this thing, and
Yeah.
the implication in the invite was that there would be a bunch of cars that KW... It didn't say that explicitly, but the implication was that there would be several cars equipped with suspensions to drive on the track.
And that you would get thrown off a boat if you didn't have sex with them. That's the other implication.
That too, yes.
Right.
The implication. But that was not the case.
Right.
And it turns out there was just like one car.
I mean, they have a built Integra, which is cool, but for us to drive 2+ hours each way to drive one car is hard, and we don't have a car that we want to run on the track ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
if we didn't have anything else to do, if TST was the only thing we had to do, sure, no big deal.
Right. And if my car was ready, I would go by myself and film my car and their car.
Sure.
But I am not.
But we have many other things that I have many other things that need doing. And so we're going to film this insane DeLorean tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Built by Steve Maxwell, owned by this dude Nick. And it has his Instagram is Lamborfucking-Guinea. That's Nick's. It might be private, but I follow him. So I should be able to get in there. And it looks dope. It's got a Kia Stinger engine in the back of it, the twin turbo V6. And apparently they've got a couple thousand miles on it. So it's
sorted out.
So it is
Nice.
sorted. And Steve Maxwell is a G and knows exactly what he's doing. I don't think Steve is coming.
Okay.
I think Nick is just going to bring the car. But I'm stoked for that. It fucking rips, and so I hear.
Steve's a good follow because he fabricates so much of the parts he uses for these crazy special builds. So it's a lot of like milling and CNC and design stuff. So he's just a cool person to watch.
That 348 twin turbo that he built, it looked like Ferrari built it.
Yes, it did.
Like everything, the finishes on all the plumbing and stuff were exactly as Ferrari would have done them if they built the car themselves. And so we've got that, and then I've got the Boxster 25th anniversary downstairs, which I got, oh God, it must have been 2 or 3 months ago. There was a Euro one floating around, and unfortunately, while it was under my care, it had a little bit of a mechanical. We don't really know what happened, but it had a mechanical, and they took it back, and it disappeared. They disappeared it, and so we now have a US spec one here, which is good because it means it's got like satellite radio and shit.
Yeah, the nav actually doesn't
Stuff
show.
actually-
It doesn't just show the ocean.
Yeah. Stuff works. So we're gonna make the video with that tomorrow too down in San Diego, and then Lamborghini Huracan STO at Willow Springs on Thursday. We were supposed to drive MC20 last week at Willow Springs, but unfortunately somebody had a little whoopsie with the car and took it out of, it wasn't totaled, but it was broken sufficiently that they canceled everyone else's drive, including ours. I got a call at like 6 p.m. the night before we were supposed to go to drive it.
That's a bummer.
I hope whatever the embargo was, I hope they stretch it out to accommodate this, because anyone who drove the car before it got broken, if they can't get us another car or another drive before the embargo, we would be at a serious disadvantage.
Conspiracy. The person, as they finish their review, stuff it in a wall so that they get the exclusive.
The clicks.
Yeah.
I crashed a Lamborghini or a Maserati. You had a Lamborghini on the screen. That's why I said that. I'm excited for the STO. It's the homologated car for racing. Super Trofeo Omologato.
It looks the part. It's got vents on the fenders, and it's got this crazy wing and
the
roof
front
scoop intake.
It doesn't have a traditional frunk anymore. I saw one. Somebody brought one to Cars and Coffee the other day, and the front is a clamshell.
Whoa!
Opens like a clamshell.
What's under there now? Just
I don't know.
Suspension, cooling, and stuff.
I don't know. I didn't honestly care enough to go up and poke around because we're going to go get all that at the track. I just was like, oh, wow, clamshell. Okay.
How good is it going to sound with a roof scoop?
It should sound quite excellent.
Ooh.
And I went to, while I was in Connecticut for this wedding this past weekend, I went to the Caffeine Carburetors, which was a cars and coffee they have in New Canaan. It was fucking wild.
Really?
Wild. I was the first one that they had done in like over a year. You could probably pull up Caffeine Carburetors on Instagram. They have an account. Dude, there was probably 3,000 people there.
Holy shit.
There was probably 500 cars. It was that. Is that a video right there in front of that first top left post? Look at the street on the right, on the post on the right. Look how many people were fucking there. Dude, they shut down the whole. They shut down 2 whole streets. There was some ace quality hardware. I mean, a lot of it was from places like Motor Classic and Competition, which if you know anything about East Coast vintage car dealers, this place Motor Classic and Competition has ace level old race cars, D-types, Ferrari Testarossas, from back in the day, shit like that. There was 2 Glickenhaus cars. Nat, my boy Nat Mundy, who is actually their sales guy now.
Oh wow, cool.
Brought out the SCG 004 and the Boot, and both street legal. The SCG 004 is a full on the black, the bare carbon black one. That one, full on like center seat Le Mans prototype, like. They drove that down the street.
That's amazing.
It's got a plate on it.
Ooh, those buttresses. That's a gorgeous car.
That's 400,000 and change. And it is a prototype race car.
Yeah, it looks like it. Wow.
They've taken orders for over 30 of those.
Really?
Yeah. They're moving them. And he brought the Boot, which he gave me like 3 hours notice. Like, you want to make a video with this? I'm like, dude, little fucking heads up. I don't even have the gear. But the Boot is, $250K, I think, starting for the 2-door Boot, and they've sold 40 of them.
Holy crap.
Dude, they're moving units.
Well, I mean, Glickenhaus, he has proven that his engineering team knows what they're doing because he's raced multiple times at Le Mans and other places, done well.
Yeah.
So he's demonstrated we're not just a shop that has ideas and just
and they've crash tested the cars.
Right. They've proven that the cars are real and that they function, that's what you want.
And I think there's enough people out there that are kind of over the mass production supercar at that price level. There was a lot of 488s.
Yeah.
There was a lot of 720s at the car show. And these are amazing products. But, I hate to say it, but if you're at that level and everyone else has got one of those, it allows you to have the next level?
$2 million exclusivity experience for $400,000.
And the Boot is comparable to a legit trophy truck. You know what I mean? Like it is for all intents and purposes a trophy truck. Right.
What engine's in this thing again?
LT4, Chevy LT4. Shit. Yeah, automatic gearbox, paddle shifters, and you can literally drive that to the starting line in Baja and Ensenada and enter it. Plate on it.
That's a good time.
And it's $250,000.
Yeah,
it's a quarter of the price of a factory trophy truck. So like. And, Nat, obviously, if you just look at this fucking thing, Nat says, he drives it to the coffee shop in New Canaan, and people lose their fucking mind.
I mean,
of course they do.
It's very unique looking. Like, it's definitely not I wouldn't call it a beautiful machine.
No,
but
it doesn't look good.
Who cares? Yeah.
But it'll fucking stop heads.
Right, because it's unique.
Yeah.
It stands out.
Yeah, and it's very, very loud.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, the exhaust is
It has mufflers.
The rear tire.
You can see it's got a muffler.
Yeah,
that is a muffler. The collector.
For people listening, the reason he says you can see it has a muffler is because 6 inches above the rear fender, a muffler is hanging in the air.
Yes, exactly.
It's
so
something
silly.
else.
Look at the interior, though.
The interior is great.
Fucking cool.
It looks well done. It's got leather and all these nav screens and buttons and everything.
Now that one looks like it has.
Look at that.
It has a shifter that looks like a manual, but if you go back to left, there's only 2 pedals there. So I'm guessing it's just a PRNDL type of deal.
That shift knob looks a lot like the ones that were common in hot rods built in the 2000s.
Yeah.
It's like an aluminum shift knob. Yeah, exactly.
Icon uses them too. I think,
here we go.
Yeah,
close shot.
PRNDL. Yeah, there you go.
And 2.1.
Yeah.
Cool.
So those were there. There was a bunch of vintage raced, shit that raced in Le Mans in the 50s and 60s. XK120 race cars, and there was a Cunningham. That thing, look at that. That's a Cunningham competition car.
Whoa.
Fucking nasty.
It's like an AC Cobra that was surprised. Yeah. So the mouth is even bigger. It's going.
There was a CLK GTR. Multiple Bugattis, and then a bunch of really good, XJ220, XJR15 Jaguar. There was it was
showing.
wild, very very strong showing. It was really impressive, and a lot of fans, a lot of people came up and said hi. There was a lot of there was some kids with E36s that were like, "Do you really think an E36 M3 is a $7,000 driving experience?" And I was like, "Yes, I do," but you could spend like 15 or 20 grand more, put an S54 in it, and it's a $9,000 driving experience.
First of all, it's worth more. It's more than that.
I drove that one.
I know.
I drove the best one you could drive.
It's better than 9.
12. It's not that great. It just wasn't that great.
What can you get for 12? Like, I guess here's what we think. What's the scale? Now, are you thinking 12 grand? What do you buy something new that's 12 grand and it drives that well?
No, you can't buy anything new for 12 grand.
So, I guess how do you quantify the driving experience?
It's unimpressive. It's just generally unimpressive. Whereas an E30 with an S54 powertrain is incredibly impressive. The steering is better.
Absolutely,
it's lighter.
true.
You're lower to the ground. The driving position is better.
Yeah.
It's much more of an impressive thing. And then an E46 M3 is a much more substantial, polished vehicle. Mm-hmm. This is just, it's just like...
It's a weird phase in the evolution where it was headed toward 46.
Yeah, it's not that good.
Yeah,
so anyway.
I drove a 36 that had full suspension setup and a half cage, and the handling was wonderful, but like the steering rack is still weird.
Yeah.
It's early linear.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Whereas, early progressive, and the E30 has a linear rack, which is why it's
is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just, but there was multiple gull wings and 4GT. It was very cool. It was and I really... I had two of the best weather days in Connecticut that you could ever have. There was like 75, sunny, no humidity. I was driving my mom's Jag around, and the Connecticut back roads, it's
great.
They're great. It's like just every little drive to the grocery store, every little drive to a restaurant, you're on some nice windy road through these beautiful lush forests and these big, incredible, estates. Some of them are 100 or 150 years old. I don't want to move back there. I did not. It's not the kind of thing I want to be in every day, especially when it's humid or snowing or whatever. But it was a nice weekend.
It's nice when you have the perfect visit to a place.
It was good. That was good. Yeah.
The roads there are fun. It's a lot like driving in Britain.
Yeah.
Where the roads are twisty, but there are a lot of houses around them and things.
It would be horrible for filming. Like you can't. We couldn't film on those roads, but as a way to get from A to B,
it makes it enjoyable.
Fabulous. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I had to do the multiple of my friends from high school have had kids that I haven't. So I did the lap where I saw 3 different. I went and met
Larry.
A politician.
You're like, went and met
Larry's kid. Went and met my friend Brandon's kids. I saw Larry's shop. Larry's shop is real cool.
It looks amazing.
It's amazing.
Cool artwork on the wall too that he had done.
It's really, his designer did a really nice. That's not Larry. That's a designer.
Of course.
His designer did a really nice job. There's a lot of really thoughtful details, and if he ever wanted to sell that place, it would be someone's house. Like someone that wasn't running a business out of that could easily convert Larry's office into the bedroom, and it would just be a house. It's got a kitchen. It's got living room area. It would be a perfect house for a car person.
Yeah, because it's got the garage space and it's lit well. I mean, it's artful and
it's in a residential neighborhood. It's in between houses. It's not like in some industrial neighborhood. So that's Larry's page. If you look at my page, my Instagram has multiple photos of it, but it's a lot more like a house with a detail shop on the ground floor than it is like a commercial building. And there's homes on either side of it. So you would easily drive by it and not know that it's like a business, which is good.
That is good.
Yeah.
It's honestly the perfect house for someone like Larry who wants a detailing bay in their garage and they can look down and go, that polisher, I just got that polisher.
You know, he's got like a lounge there and a kitchen and a sitting area, and I was like, do your customers like hang out here? He's like, no, this is for me. This is for me to lounge, so it's
for all the relaxing he can do.
Right.
He's known for that.
Right. But was nice. It was nice to visit, and it was like I guess it used to belong to a guy who like would make things out of steel, like a welder, and so the whole building is made of steel. It's all I-beams and shit. It's cool.
He said that the guy welded on extra support in a bunch of places, and when the building inspectors came to look at it, they were like, I don't know who did this, but you can survive like a Cat 5 hurricane because this is crazy.
Yeah. All the extra support was because he had a big crane in the middle. The reason it has like a super tall center garage door that's like 25 feet tall is because semi-trucks would back in and he would crane these big signs and shit he would make onto them. So it's strong because of this crazy heavy duty crane he had right in the middle of
it. Got it.
So
like the barn you got married in?
Yes.
It had like this giant iron ore vat hanging from the roof. I was like, if this falls, the whole party dies.
Yeah, that was a good barn though.
It was a good barn.
Good barn to get married in. Good factory. Is this shot needed working on?
It zoomed itself in.
Fucking hell. That's bullshit. So anyways, like a nice relaxing weekend in Connecticut, only to fucking get super stressed out on Monday again. Have a fucking panic attack.
I mean, that's what Mondays are for.
Yeah, but my aunt is a therapist, and I haven't seen her in a while, and I were talking about the power of now, and she's like, I can't believe you're reading this. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of nice notes from people for me. Because I've been talking about my anxiety and shit. I guess there's folks out there that can relate to that kind of stuff. So, and they've sent me some very nice notes that they're appreciative that I'm willing to. To me, it's not that big a deal to talk about that kind of stuff. But I guess to other people who have been brought up where if you ain't bleeding, you ain't hurt, that kind of thing.
I mean, that's
I'd say
America. That's most men internally. It's a lot of men. And then some of us had it more externally given to us. But yeah.
Some people had it beaten into them,
Right.
For me, I guess because I've been in therapy for so long, and like a lot of my fucked up friends in high school got either sent or voluntarily went to therapists, that for me it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, it's a big deal, but it's not a big deal for me to share. I'm not.
Because you've been sharing for a long time.
What the fuck else am I going to talk about? There's not my mom's Jaguar really needed the love. When I first started driving it, the tires were definitely flat spotted from sitting, so I had to get the tires nice and hot on the back roads, and they rounded themselves out. It was okay.
You have to just do a burnout in very precise ways.
They weren't flat spotted from fucking locking the brakes up and sliding. They were flat spotted from sitting. So, you get them hot and you get them spun up, and I drove like 150 miles and then they were good.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever flat spotted a tire like that.
Well, because you've never let a car sit for 5 months.
So I've never experienced that it happens, and then I didn't know you could fix it like that.
Yeah. The last time I was in New York was what, like 6 weeks ago for something? I think I was there briefly.
Sure.
I think I was there for like 6 weeks. Like 6 weeks ago, and when I went to go, I was like, I'll drive the Jag. It's nice out. The seat was still in my fucking position from before. I was like, oh. It was when I went to the 86 launch. That's when I was in New York. Yeah.
Your mom likes that car. She just doesn't like driving it that much, I think.
She
likes having it.
She likes having it.
And she loves that you guys did that for her.
Yeah, but she doesn't drive
she
it.
Smiles when she talks about it. She's like, that was so sweet.
Yeah. We should have bought her a Range Rover. She would have fucking used it.
Or like a pineapple core machine or something. She loves those kitchen appliances.
But there was, even the stuff in New Canaan, some really nice BMWs, really cool 80s, a couple of Fox bodies, a really nice Celine convertible Fox body.
Talk about a $9,000 driving experience, by the way.
Definitely, but it looked great. It was fucking mint. It was red with a gray lower valance. You know what it reminded me of? Like the color of Griff's BMW from Back to the Future 2, the flying BMW. Griff's BMW Back to the Future 2. The color scheme was like this. Yeah, it was like a red and black gray. It kind of reminded me of that.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, when you see Griff's BMW parked in someone's lawn, it doesn't have quite the impact of when it landed in Hill Valley. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
Like,
I remember
up.
it did look strong when it showed up in the movie.
But that was the color scheme of this Saleen that was in fucking mint condition. And you're right, that is a $9,000 driving experience, but it's a $25,000 visual experience.
On the exterior, the interior of a Fox body Mustang.
Well, no, but the
also a $4,000
Saleens,
experience.
though, had a different steering wheel. They had a 3-spoke steering wheel.
Oh, did they change the dash?
They had Recaro seats, proper Recaros with those basket weave headrests. Remember those?
Yeah.
It had a roll bar. It had really nice, nicely trimmed, like the actual interior. They didn't change the dashboard, except for they changed the gauges. You should Google Saleen Fox body. Not the. They changed all the materials. Yeah, see that 1 second from the. Yeah, see that. See those seats are those are
cool
Recaro
seats.
Euro
I dig those.
seats. Yeah, and the steering wheel, 3-spoke steering wheel. Yes, the dash is still plastic, but you know what? It has that nice little shelf. I always like that shelf in front of the passenger seat.
Yeah,
it's a great place to put your phone.
That's true. I think it still looks. It still looks like
fucking,
I know it is.
It's an 85.
I'm trying to defend the BMW people. That's what I'm doing.
There's no defending it. There's no defending it.
Those seats are sweet.
Yeah, I mean, look,
cool
that still drives like a Fox body with nice suspension on it. It's not like, and they made ones with bigger engines. There was a 351 with a 5.8 liter in it, but just this one happened to be particularly nicely preserved. I don't know why that one has the ugly steering wheel in it.
That is a terrible wheel.
That's the stock Ford wheel.
These are interesting seats.
See the basket weave headrest?
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah,
the basket
the
weave
two-tone
headrest.
seat is not
That's
good.
a weird fucking seat.
But these seats, they almost remind me of Citroen SM seats, which is like all the
those are
little pillows.
curved. They
Yeah.
have the pillows,
Yeah,
but they're
yeah.
actually curved. These are the actual seats that were used in a bunch of different European cars of the period. Like,
Dude, they're cool.
yeah, that's a proper Recaro seat. And they retrimmed the whole thing, so it was really nice. But some really good shit at that Caffeine and Carburetors.
Yeah.
So I was impressed.
Good spread.
There's a lot of questions on the Patreon. Some are left over from last week's show with John Tamarian, which was great. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
doing that show. That was a lot of fun. Talking to him about the ins and outs of weird old European cars.
Yeah, good dude. Super knowledgeable, very passionate. And
Yeah.
he has the life history that you'd want for someone who sells exotic cars. Like, well, my dad, you're like, here's where it begins.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of second generation and third generation because if you grow up in that area, either you fucking hate it and you want out, or you become incredibly passionate about it. Brett David at Prestige in Miami, his dad passed away when he was like 22, and he ran the biggest exotic car dealer in Miami, and Brett became the fucking CEO when he died, and he has gone bananas with it, and they're just now they're selling like boats and planes. They got a Pagani and a Bugatti. He really took that. But John too, and I like that John's story was like he did events, which I used to do events. He did rentals, which I used to do rentals, and like I understand so well why he didn't continue doing either of those things, you know?
Yeah.
And, he found his business to cater to the most passionate enthusiasts. And then I found this place to park cars. So anyway, and also I found by doing YouTube videos and podcasts and stuff that I could do the thing I really wanted to do, which was drive all the new shit. That was really
right.
It was
Instead
like,
of doing
hey,
events.
Yeah, instead of running events and driving people's personal cars or fucking around with rental cars and just watch as they slowly deteriorated, and you start to hate the cars after a while. But when you're driving factory fresh stuff, you're like, oh, this is all very good.
Yeah.
But let's go to JP Turk at the top. Zach answered your question in the chat. He said, what track in the Northeast has the best driving school? He's in Connecticut and now in New Hampshire. Skip Barber is at Lime Rock. I don't know about the best driving school. Monticello is a fabulous track that has a variety of different programs. There's a BMW school there. Is anything at Palmer? There's also touring programs.
Well, Skip Barber, I believe Skip Barber sold
They did.
the track to people. So he doesn't own Lime Rock anymore, but their program tours. Like they were in Laguna Seca about like a month ago. They're going to Atlanta in a few months. So if you go to Skip Barber's site, watch for when they come through and they go to Lime Rock.
Yeah.
And they're a touring program.
Lime Rock is where I did my first driving school, and it's an interesting place to do a driving school because it's very small. But a lot of the corners there are not necessarily replicated, but echoed in other places. And so the track that you do your first driving school on, like I wouldn't want to do my first driving school at like Auto Club Speedway or Pocono, where it was like flat, you know, with like 90-degree corners or NASCAR banking. Like Lime Rock was great because it had elevation. So you had positive and negative G. You had compression and what's the opposite of fucking compression?
Not lift.
You know, like your negative G,
Right,
whatever
yeah.
that, whatever. I'm blanking on the fucking term, but compression and the opposite of that. And you have late apex corners. You have a double apex corner. You have a real commitment with the downhill. You have a corner like on turn 3 where you have to throw away the entry and come out halfway to set yourself up for the next exit. And so I found, as I would drive more and more tracks and recognize, I'd be like, oh, this corner is like turn 3 at Lime Rock. This corner is kind of like turn 5 at Lime Rock. So the place you do your first big school, you will use as a reference for your next many, many tracks.
Yeah.
So try to do one at an interesting track with a nice variety of corners. If you can travel to a Road Atlanta or a VIR or a Road America or somewhere that really has a variety of corners, or Monticello even, that might help you, you know.
I would say another good thing about Lime Rock is if you're a beginner to performance driving, the fact that it's small, it's easier to memorize those turns than if you're at a track that has 15 corners. Like that might be overwhelming.
Yeah.
So
Lime Rock has like 9 corners.
Right. Depending on your experience level, then you could choose your track.
Yeah, true. Let's see. And Andre McGee, what is your favorite boring car? No sleepers or Q ships allowed. I mean, can I say the LS400? Is that a Q ship?
Not anymore.
I mean, yeah. I don't know if the LS400 is considered a Q ship. It's certainly not a very high performance car, but its quality and durability is certainly a virtue. You know, we proved that ourselves. Even, you know, the RX 300, first gen Lexus RX 300, virtually unkillable, incredibly well made. You know, 90s Lexuses, late 90s, early 2000s Lexuses.
After they had the money, but they're still good.
Yeah,
they spent the money on the development at that point, so they knew what to do.
Yeah. Any Lexus from the late to 90s to early mid 2000s will be a very high quality product.
I would say any Camry that has a decent seat, because it's anonymous, and it, especially now, it just cruises. It like whispers across the plains, and it's just going to work all the time. And it's super boring.
Gunnar Ray wants to hear both our thoughts on Frank Stephenson's Countach redesign. We talked about this on a previous show.
We talked about it on the show with Robin.
With Robin,
Yeah.
okay.
So I think he carried it over.
I think our conclusion was that he improved it for sure, but it still was based on other ones I saw on Instagram looked better than his. Someone else did another one that I thought looked better. But yeah, it was an improvement for sure. Tyler Mitchell says, my fiance and I took your advice from a while ago and booked a one-day class with Tuscan Women Cook during our honeymoon next June. Tuscan Women Cook is the company that Hannah and I did our tour with in Tuscany. Now, I have to say, our 2 favorite people from Tuscan Women Cook, who actually ran our tour, just split off to start their own company.
Oh.
And the reason I want to find it. I want to find it. It's called Italian Culinary Adventures. And Tuscan Women Cook is great. I can recommend them. Their program was fabulous. But Italian Culinary Adventures takes it to the next level, because instead of Montefalconico, which is in Tuscany, for people that have already done it, or for people that want something different, Italian Culinary Adventures is out of Modena. So they have included in their upcoming tours some stuff that's local to Modena, including going to the Ferrari factory. And there's also a prosciutto making thing. It's going to be in Emilia Romagna, which is right outside of, it's by where Parma is, where the prosciutto comes from. And my favorite people from that program, Rhonda and Claire, broke off to start this one. And so I recommend either. Tuscan Women Cook was great. You're meeting these Italian nonnas in Tuscany that are teaching you how to make this amazing stuff, and you've eaten the fucking sauce.
Very good.
The recipes that Hannah and I brought home and the skills that we brought home to cook Tuscan cooking at home were game over.
That eggplant.
The eggplant
lasagna,
parm. Eggplant parm.
It was crazy.
Ridiculously
Takes so
good.
long to prepare, but it's amazing.
It does. If you have a deli slicer, it really helps.
The fact that you need that tells people something about that.
You can do it with a mandolin.
But you had some notes, I think, like for this person who's already booked Tuscan Women Cook. Didn't you say like the way you took notes, you would have changed it when you got back because the recipes that they presented verbally were different than the sheet they gave you?
Well, I didn't say I would have done it differently. I would say that it is very important to watch them carefully and take notes on the book.
There you go. Okay.
Because if you just watch them, the printed because these are recipes that are passed down fucking verbally, translated from Italian, in metric into US, and so there was things that they showed us that were definitely different than what was printed on the page. And so having a pen and being like, actually do this.
Yeah, you said the page said 2 eggs and then they put in 5.
Yeah. There was a few things that were different. And
So
some
funny.
of them I was like, kind of like, do these bitches not want us to have the actual recipe, or is this a lost in translation thing? But make notes by hand. That was very important. But I can't recommend highly enough going to Italy and learning to cook like them, because it's fun, it's interesting, you're eating there too, it's delicious, you're drinking the wine and the olive oil. And then you have something to bring home, and you could cook for your family and your friends. And the meat sauce, the ragu, which I put on Instagram, and other people have not copied, but taken the recipe that I shared. And when I was cooking in the beginning of pandemic every fucking day,
Right.
People smash out that sauce. It's so good. And so I can't recommend that highly enough. William says, I've been waiting 2 months for Michelin tires for my Fiesta ST. Do you recommend I get something else, or to continue to wait for the Michelins? I have a 230,000 mile Outback as a second car. I mean, the question is like, how bad are the tires on your car?
Yes, and did you already pay for them and order them? Are they on the way? And also, are other companies having supply chain issues also?
Good questions.
Yeah.
Like if how much of a sacrifice in quality would you have to make to get those tires, to get whatever other tires are available now.
Right.
And how bad are the tires on your car? And, if the tires on your car can go for 2 more months without it being dangerous, sure, wait, because a set of Michelin PS4S's on a light car like a Fiesta ST, it's probably a 15 to 20,000 mile tire. It's not like you're going to blow through them in 5,000 miles. They're going to last. So if you can wait the 2 months, I'd wait the 2 months. If you can't wait the 2 months, and if you can get another tire, like, what else is good right now? Like, I don't even really know what else is good. I haven't looked at tires in like a minute. I mean, obviously we, hashtag sponsor for the Vredestein, and you've got those Hyper Tracks, and you like them.
I do.
I don't think they're as good as the Michelins, but they are a nice tire, and they're quite a bit cheaper than the Michelins.
Yes.
And if they're available now, you might enjoy them. They're, even though they paid us to advertise, like, they are a good tire. But I don't really know what else is out there right now, and what the supply chain issues are in getting tires.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't tested enough tires, honestly, to speak on this like with authority.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds like you have another car, so I don't know. Maybe just ping whatever shop you ordered the tires from and pester a little bit.
And if they've been waiting 2 months, like, that's not how long you've been waiting is not necessarily an indicator for how long you will be waiting.
Very true.
It's not like he said it'll be 2 more months. Like, been waiting 2 months might mean it shows up next week. I don't know.
Right.
It's a good tire. If it's not too much of a pain in the ass and too much of an inconvenience on your life, I would say wait.
Yeah, if you're heading into rainy season right now, maybe you just go, you know what? It's not driving season anyway. You won't mind waiting. Like, you know, if you're just commuting all the time, the wait's easier. If you're missing out on track days right now, I can understand why it'd be a little more frustrating.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, man, I'd love to help Ish here, but I don't know about this. Picked up a Land Cruiser in Fargo, North Dakota, taking the long way home and exploring a region of the country I don't know well. Favorite cities, experiences, and car places to see in the Midwest. In the Midwest. Well, West Virginia has great driving roads.
Yes,
but if you're in a Land Cruiser, that won't matter at all.
But South Dakota has the Black Hills.
Yeah, yeah.
Supposed to be gorgeous and like a kind of must see if you're in the area, which you are.
In the Midwest, I mean, isn't there a great museum in Indianapolis? There's got to be a great car museum in Indy, right? Tire Rack's main headquarters is in Terre Haute.
I mean, go
Terre Haute?
camping.
Is that what it is? Terre Haute?
Terre Haute?
No, it's what the fuck is it called? Where's
Tuckahoe?
No. Where's Notre Dame? It's in the same place as Notre Dame. Is it Terre Haute? What's it called? What's in it? It's in. Where the fuck is it? I feel like an idiot. Where is it?
South Bend?
South Bend. I'm sorry, South Bend. Oh, you know,
Samsonite. It was way off.
No, yeah, I don't know why I saw that. South Bend. What's that little town where Gingerman is? South Haven, Michigan.
Oh yeah,
is a beautiful little town that has some great restaurants, but like car things to do. I don't know. There was a museum I went to. When I was driving from Detroit to Chicago, there's a car museum somewhere in between there that I can't remember the name of, and that was okay. It wasn't particularly that impressive.
Wait, is he passing through? You said you're driving driving back east. Oh, okay. Well, one, you're going through Chicago, so stop there.
And eat delicious food.
I don't know what your budget is, but you're not that far from Monster Jam University. Let me tell you
Where's Monster Jam University?
It starts with a P, Illinois. It's like an hour and a half south of Chicago. It's a town of like 400 people. But if you look up Monster Jam University, that's where it will be. And oh my God, it's amazing. You can learn how to drive a monster truck for a full day.
I think is driveatank.com. I think they're in Minneapolis. And you can drive a tank and crush a car for like a couple $100. I think they're outside Minneapolis, but it might have been St. Louis. I don't really remember. Where are they? Contact them. I forget. Are you outside St. Louis or Minneapolis? Where the fuck are you? Oh, wait, go back up. I said the town there. Kasota, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Kasoda. Yeah, if that's on the way, it looks like this route goes through Minnesota. Oh yeah, right?
Oh yeah, it's right.
Oh, it's right there.
It's right outside Minneapolis. So you're going past Drive a Tank.
You could stop and drive a tank.
You should do that.
That would be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be fun. There's not a lot of great things to see in that part of the country, if I'm honest. I mean, there really isn't.
Well, we're just not familiar with them if there are. I think we go there to film stuff specifically. Yeah. Like I've been to the racetracks and Monster Jam, and you've been to Drive a Tank and some other things, and that's kind of what we've seen. Yeah. So I don't know. Look up. You know what? Helpful. Instagram. Look up like hashtag like South Dakota Overland, and you'll find a bunch of locations on that.
Sure. All right. That's some suggestions.
Those are some suggestions. Smoking Tire Travel Agency.
Eat cheese in Wisconsin. I mean, it's good up there.
It is.
It's fucking
what
good.
They have.
Cheese and sausages. Oh, let's see. Andrew, thank you for your comment. Scott, let's see. Scott Villeneuve. I had a 2015 R8 V10 competition, nice car, ending up selling it to get a McLaren 570S Spider, offered to part ways with the McLaren by my dealer, and now I'm looking for a replacement. I like the NA motor cars, but prefer a Gen 1 R8. Should I go with that again, get a new Z06, or something else?
Ooh.
Well, if you wanted a manual transmission, V10, the newest end of it was like maybe 2015, V8 R8, V10 R8 with a stick and then with $25K left over for the VF Engineering supercharger, you're there. Now you got a manual gearbox, 900 horsepower.
Scream machine that looks amazing.
Yeah, get a Spider.
Yeah.
Fuck it, get a Spider too.
Saw one today. Good looking car.
And that is delightful. And because it's a stick, it won't age.
Yep.
It will just be what it be.
Very good point.
Alternatively, new Z06, seems promising. We haven't seen one in person, much less driven one, so we can't say if it's
the C8. The regular vet's good, so we can assume. I think will probably be
great.
It'll probably be really good.
Probably great.
But how long we have to wait for one, we don't know. You could probably get that R8 right now.
Yeah. Also, let's see. A GT4 is not going to be as quick as an R8. But the 911s, if you wanted to get into a 911 that wasn't a GT car, the new GTS, which my review is next week.
Yeah.
Can't give any driving impressions, but you could probably guess that I enjoyed my 8 hours driving the 911 GTS. It was not shit.
Used 458. Is that in the price range?
Yeah, I mean 458s are like, a good one is like 180 to 220. And a 458 is a great car. I mean, especially what you get for the low 200s or, compared to what Ferrari wants, over 4 for an F8. And the difference in performance for 90% of the time is negligible. You physically can't drive an F8 that much faster than you could drive a 458. And 458s are very beautiful. Or you could go old school. I mean, you could go with something like a 993 Porsche Turbo. If you've got McLaren money, you can get a really good 993 Turbo. Or you could get a really good maybe 964 Carrera RS possibly.
And what's cool about that is then you're having a different experience. You're not having the modern mid-engine supercar experience, which the other ones are providing.
That's why, obviously you've been in now 2 modern mid-engine cars. So if you wanted to have a different experience, you could go old school or get something like a Testarossa, if you were into that.
If you're into maintenance, that's a great way to go.
Yeah. You got to do that once. You do the big one once, and then you're good for like 7-8 years.
If he's thinking of getting a new Z06, I'm guessing you're more into driving fast and having, the TR is quick, but it's
not that
old.
fast.
It's
old.
Fast.
Yeah. Or of course, GT3s. GT3s are available with PDK. And even if you wanted a .2, a 991.2, the PDK cars are much more affordable than the stick cars. And so, Porsches are out there as well. JJ wants suggestions on a good exhaust for the E46 M3. Nothing crazy loud. Zach, anything?
I honestly don't know. I haven't listened to very many of them. I don't really like the way those cars sound with exhaust. I think they sound really dry. I think the magic is in the intake. So any of the intakes are what really sounds good, but you have to get a tune with them. So someone said dining stuff. It's always good. I would just say listen to as many exhaust clips as you can on YouTube that are hopefully recorded well, and then buy one from a reputable company. Don't buy it from...
Don't buy some eBay shit.
Or it's their first time making E40. Oh, this company makes E46 stuff now. Magnaflow makes a good one. Dyna makes a good one. Any of the big companies make ones that are well made, they fit well, and they sound good. Make sure it fits correctly immediately. I don't know. I can look. I'm guessing not, because Steve said they were just getting back into E46 stuff. They're more about the new jams.
Yeah, I just don't make it too loud. I mean, when those cars are made really loud, they don't sound good. I mean, obviously this person said not too loud is what they're looking for. So, I think I'm with you. The intake, because it's got those ITBs, you can make those sound really cool.
Yeah.
Austin Medelsky. What is the best luxury rally car? I like the AMG GLA 45 over the Audi SQ5, but what else is out there? Can I fit my big dog in the back without the seats down like I can in my WRX? The Macan, dude.
Yes.
Macan GTS, Macan Turbo. Macans are it when it comes to the luxury rally car.
They're so good.
Yeah.
They are really, really good. Dynamically, really great cars.
Yeah, I mean, and as you'll actually see in our video coming out, it's not quite luxury, but the Outback Wilderness, It's not that fast, but it was very clearly developed by a company that also makes rally cars, because the suspension, as you'll see in the video, allowed me to carry pretty good speed on a pretty bumpy fire road.
Yeah, the suspension's great.
Yeah.
Really
but
good ride.
if you're driving on tarmac with a bit of snow and you're not really going on dirt, actual rally, I mean, the Macan GTS is really where it's at.
Yeah, because I think it has more ground clearance than the GLA 45, but it has the quick steering and the quick reactions that you want from like an actual sporting car.
Yeah. This is a very long question, but I will try to read it. What are your thoughts on Tesla trying to get into the European market with their new models by building a factory in Germany? Apart from the fact that the opening has been delayed again, Elon is still planning to produce cars in Germany from October on. However, as it stands, autopilot can't be offered at all, which is fucking good. That means the Germans give a shit. There are ongoing discussions that cars in Europe, especially Germany, won't be allowed to have autopilot at all. That means the functionality has to be locked, and Tesla would have to prove the cars that they are selling in Europe, in this case Germany, can't be even theoretically upgraded to the autopilot system. I think that means that Germany has a regulatory body that actually does things.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I saw a video this morning of the new FSD beta update. Niedermeyer shared it and I retweeted it. The car does a fucking terrible job doing whatever you might call that. I don't even want to call it driving, because it basically breaks a fucking serious law like every 30 seconds.
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Jeez.
And you can see my retweet from this morning if you want to actually watch the video. I don't think we can. There, that one right there. It's pretty bad. We can't play it on YouTube, but it's pretty rough. I go check it out on my thing. I like Germany has, you know, one of the most civilized driving systems in what you can call the Western world,
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
They have, not only do they have sections with unrestricted, but they have variable speed limits based on the conditions, the traffic. Their cars have to be connected to that system, so the speed limit displays on your car, not just on a sign on the side of the road.
The TÜV thing is good because it verifies whether or not your modified vehicle or your vehicle in general is like up to snuff and safe to drive on the road.
Right.
Now, if those criteria are too restrictive, like that could present a problem for the free market and a problem for modifying and all those other things. But I like that what they're aiming for is safety and practicality. Like the lane laws, you know, if you're in the left lane going slowly, like you will get pulled over because that is dangerous and it's inefficient. And so people really adhere to the lane discipline there, and everything moves smoother, and more importantly, everything's predictable, which is really good.
Yeah. And the driver training is much more important there. The drivers are just more, they just take it more seriously.
Yeah.
And they're more aware of their surroundings. You know, you very rarely in Germany, you're like, what the fuck is this person doing? Like, it just doesn't happen as often as it does everywhere else. And so I think that testing really unproven semi-autonomous features with an untrained general public is incredibly irresponsible and dangerous. And the fact that Germany is saying hell to the no, I'm about that.
Yeah, it's cool. They're like, look, you can sell the cars because people like the cars, but you can't use this technology. So actually, it's an interesting experiment to see how well do the cars sell without having that carrot dangling off of them.
And will a German-built Tesla be actually built properly? Unlike the Teslas that are built here,
What will
which
the panel
are not.
gaps be like, you mean?
Yeah. Or, you know, like the guy at Unplugged Performance said, half the cars show up at their shop missing bolts. That shit won't fly in Germany. Not for fucking 2 seconds. You know? So I'm about someone in a position of authority or a governing body actually putting their foot down with fucking Tesla. Because here, you see the cover of the new Road Rat? Elon just doesn't give a fuck. He literally just doesn't care about it. He's daring all the regulatory bodies to fuck with him. And because the last several years, the Trump administration spent gutting the regulatory bodies, there's no one to like do anything. So it drives me nuts that fucking cover is on there because it implies it in a good way and not necessarily in a bad way.
Well, is that what the article
I haven't
implies?
gotten my issue yet.
I think that's open interpretation. Like, if you look at it and go, yeah, he doesn't, and that's not good. You know, it depends on it.
I would like to get my magazine. It hasn't come in the mail
beauty
yet.
is in the eye of the beholder, is what I'm saying. You know,
people also don't read articles.
That's
I'm going to
very
read the
true.
whole article, but you know, people read headlines.
Yeah.
And the headline, if the headline doesn't match the content of the article, people will remember the headline and not the article.
Well, we're also at a time where the DGAF has become a point of pride in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But we may be seeing what happens when people take that too far.
Maybe.
It can also have a negative connotation.
Only if there's a regulatory body willing to do something about it.
Right. Whoops.
Let's see.
So, speaking of that,
let's see. If I had the opportunity to drive across Europe in a McLaren F1, but Elon Musk had to be the co-driver, would I take the trip? No. Seems like a lot of time to be annoyed by somebody.
I would, because I would try to learn things that I can actually learn from him. But I think I feel like he'd get bored, because when I've seen him do interviews or be filmed, you can just tell he's like, I'm distracted by so many other things. And I'd just be like, so
My
how
father,
do you build a rocket? And he'd go, oh, fuck, I'm not here to teach elementary school.
my father was on the board of directors of a bank in Europe. And the head of the bank, head of the board of directors, lived in New Jersey. And so for the first couple months of the gig, they'd have to go to London every month for 2 days for board meetings. In the beginning, the guy who had the head of the bank would fly his G6. And then for those who don't know airplanes, it's like that's an airplane. It's like an 18-seat, long-range Gulfstream. You know, it's like $100 million. Ridiculous. So my dad would hitch a ride and go. After 4 or 5 flights, he started buying his own plane tickets and flying on British Airways. I'm like, Dad, you're skipping the G6 to London for free? And he goes, oh, I didn't want to have to talk to him. And I understand that mentality 100%.
Yeah.
It's the company is way more important than the vehicle. And I love the McLaren F1, and I imagine for 3 or 4 hours I'd put up with fucking almost anybody to drive a McLaren F1.
Right. But across Europe, that's a couple days.
I've driven across Europe. It's weeks. And if you don't have someone you like in that passenger seat,
Right.
it's not going to be any fun. The car will get old.
Yeah, definitely. The car will definitely get old.
Chris Nolke says, there's a waiting list to buy almost any new Porsche and used prices are silly. Oh man, speaking of this, here's another reason there's a waiting list to buy new Porsches. The dealership that I work with in New Jersey that my family's been working with for 40 years, the guy who owns the dealership was my dad's middle school and high school best friend. And his father started the dealership in the 40s. And now his son, who's my age, owns the dealership. The floods in New York City, they had to write off 25 brand new cars. 25 brand new Porsches. Interestingly, he said the electric cars, the Taycans, are so well sealed that they float.
No,
They floated.
fucking way.
And he said they didn't get water damage inside, but they floated into a bunch of other cars and smashed shit. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
They floated?
They floated.
That's kind of a good commercial
Kind
for
of a
Porsche.
good commercial,
Yeah.
but it sucks if you're a dealer. And I'm Porsche, you know,
Wow.
it's a massive insurance claim, obviously, and super sucks. But that was an interesting story from the rainstorms. Yeah, 25 written off cars from their inventory. That sucks balls.
Yeah, I believe it.
There's a waiting list to buy almost any new Porsche, and used prices are silly. My allocation for a Taycan Cross Turismo 4S has come open, but I don't have physical room to keep it and my current 991 Turbo S. It's a great time to sell a car like the 911 Turbo. You've driven and loved lots of versions of the Taycan. Is there any reason to keep the 911 and forego the Taycan? I mean, gas car, electric car, sports car, practical car. Taycan Cross Turismo is great, but it's not your weekend special sports car. It's an everyday car. It also has the limitations that all EVs have.
Right.
911 Turbo S could be a daily driver if you don't need the back seat. It's comfortable enough, certainly, and reasonably practical enough and luxurious enough, but it's it's not an ideal daily driver, especially if you have to carry around things and other humans. One is not the same as the other. Okay, so is there a reason to keep the Turbo S and not get a Cross Turismo? Yeah, you want a really fast gasoline-powered sports car. That's one reason. Is there a reason to sell it and get the Taycan is awesome. We had a great time driving it. The Cross Turismo is really cool. It's very fast.
Phenomenal daily.
Phenomenal
Comfortable
daily.
in the back. If you have a family of 4, this makes sense.
Yeah. Downsides include availability of charging, depending on what your life is, blah, blah, blah. But look, as I've said, if you have extra cars or extra watches or extra stuff, fucking sell it. You'll never get more money, than you're getting for that stuff right now. And if a dealer will offer you crazy money, if you can get out of a Turbo S is not an appreciating asset in the short term.
Right.
If you can get out of a Turbo S and have whatever miles you've put on that car be basically free or close to it, or maybe even profitable, get out.
And then jump into a 4S, yeah.
If you don't need it. Yeah, I mean, if you can replace it with a car that you don't have to pay over sticker for. So if you can get that premium on your outgoing without paying the premium on the other side, that's financially wise.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's like what our friend Larry's doing. You know what I mean? He's basically put 25,000 miles on his Macan GTS for almost free.
Right.
And he's getting a brand new Taycan Cross Turismo for slightly under sticker. So financially, that's a very wise decision. Mm-hmm. So,
I think those cars are a little more apples to apples.
Yeah, they're daily drivers.
Right,
it's a daily.
Right.
Those are both daily drivers.
Question
yeah, I mean,
for Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it is. So yeah, if the reason to keep the 911, you want a gas-powered sports car.
That goes real fast.
Real fast.
As long as you want.
Richard H. enjoyed our review of the Macan GTS. When I spec a Macan GTS similarly to Taycan Cross Turismo, they're pretty much close in price. As such, I'm not really seeing any reason to get a Macan over a Cross Turismo. The EV lifestyle works for me, and I doubt I missed the sound of a turbo. Am I missing anything? No, you're not. If it works for your lifestyle, if they're the same price, if you wouldn't find an EV to be inconvenient, I would personally, for the same money, rather own a Taycan Cross Turismo than a Macan.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, that's the only thing you're missing is like maybe the fact that the maybe it's got a little more like greenhouse. Like if you want to sit up a little higher, I guess, in a Macan. If you don't want to get down into the car, if you're like my uncle at the wedding was talking to me about cars, and he needs, he's got hip issues.
Right, he needs to go lateral move.
Slide his ass right in and out of the car. Some people think about that kind of stuff. So dropping down, for instance, actually the front doors on the Taycan are pretty small. So even though you can it's got a lot of leg room, you kind of have to get in and out of a small-ish space there. So that's the only thing to really consider. That's really it. Oh boy. Troy Vaughn says, sold my 991.2 GT3 Touring last year, and have a 992 GT3 with Touring package allocation. Trying to decide on manual or PDK. Since this is the first time that the journalists have been suggesting the new GT3 is better suited with PDK. I agree. I think the new GT3 is actually better with a PDK. In my opinion, I noticed the difference in how much faster I could go with a PDK than with the manual.
Yeah. And
I didn't think the manual was the best manual that Porsche makes anymore. The 4-liter engine to go from the last generation to this generation, and I wrote this in my review, it doesn't have any more power, but they had to make it feel newer and better, right? So what did they do? Among other things, a very, very light flywheel. That made it kind of a pain in the ass in traffic. The engine has very little of its own inertia. And what that means is even someone like me stalled it a bunch, which I didn't find to be a particularly desirable quality. Whereas when I drove the 992 GTS, I don't want to break embargo, but let's just say that didn't happen. It had a more normal flywheel, and that didn't happen. I'm driving the Boxster 40th anniversary right now. It has a normal flywheel. That doesn't happen. And with the PDK in the GT3, you don't notice it. The computer deals with all of it. So I'm glad that the manual is still available, but I don't think that that car is optimized for it the way that the last gen car was. So, yeah. Prashanth says, I know you like your film cameras. What do you think of the Fujifilm X mount line? I don't know anything about it. Nothing. I have absolutely no idea. I've never heard of that camera. I haven't looked at cameras. I would love to help you. Apparently, it says it has, according to Prashanth, it's a digital camera that will allow you to simulate their films, Fuji films. I think that is cool. I like the idea of being able to not just have presets, but have presets that emulate the look of specific films. When I was shooting on film, I liked Fuji Velvia, but I don't know any. This is literally the first I'm ever hearing of it. So I would like to write that down and take a look at it later. Can you pull up a picture of it? Does it look like an old school camera? Fuji X-T3. Look that up. Fujifilm X-T3. I have a Pentax K1000 film camera. Oh, it looks kind of like an old school camera. Body looks, oh wow, yeah, it looks like an old school film camera with dials like you'd have on a film camera. And I can't see it from the back, but presumably also some kind of screen on the back. It has firmware. I think that's cool. Yeah, this is the first I'm ever hearing of it, but an old school looking camera that has dials and can mimic film, Fujifilm. That's cool. I like the idea of it. I'd like to check that out. I wish I could have more of an opinion, but I like the idea of it. Thanks, Prashanth. Blake Hopper, yes, we did hear about Eric Keller of EAG passing away. I think it was a week and a half ago, maybe, on a motorcycle accident. Eric was on the show a few years ago. Mm-hmm. It was a really interesting show. We did go back and listen to it. He was a really nice guy. I don't know necessarily the cause of the motorcycle accident, nor does it really matter at this point. It's very sad. He was really, really. What episode is it, Zach? Can we see what number that is? It was right. Go back. It was in the Google searches. It was 363, June 2020, at the old studio. I really enjoyed my talk with him. And he really was a pioneer in really doing amazing restorations of modern BMWs, mm-hmm. asking all the money for it and getting it. Yeah. And I know a few people who've bought cars. There's 2 EAG cars here. Paul Zuckerman has a couple of their cars from them, and I hope the business survives because they were doing good work over there. But it was really a shame to hear about Eric. I liked him very much. Finn Elliott picking up my new to me NA Miata tomorrow night. First time I've had a second car. Any recommendations for a first time 2+ car owner? Yeah, Haggerty Insurance. Yeah. Don't get a regular insurance policy. Get a collector insurance policy. 2 reasons. One, the main one, declared value. A car that has the potential to appreciate in value, or a car that the book value isn't as important as the value to you, mm-hmm. or a car that you plan to modify with a plan like Haggerty. You tell them what the car's worth, and you pay a premium accordingly. And if something happens to the car, you get all the money you wanted to get. And as opposed to, I had this discussion with somebody who had an E46 M3 the other day. They had this E46 M3, it had regular insurance. But the car's worth a lot more now than it was when they bought it, or than what Kelly Blue Book says. And he goes, well, what do I do? They only want to give me, $18,000 for this car, and before I crashed it, I could have sold it for $35,000. Well, first off, after it's been crashed is not a good time to have this discussion. But had they gotten a declared value policy, they could have said, this car is now a $30,000 car. This car is now a $35,000 car. You pay the premium accordingly, but if the car gets wiped out, you get market price.
I should probably switch my insurance.
Yeah.
You're not talking about me, but you are talking about me.
Yeah. Now, it might not work for you, Zach, because it can't be your daily driver. So you have to prove to them that you have another car to drive. So if you and your missus, for instance, and maybe insured that car, her car together, or she added you onto her insurance, and you could say, this is actually my daily, that would probably be fine. And I think that's within the rules. But that's my suggestion is if you have a second car or a car you're going to do a lot of modifications to or restore or something where the Kelley Blue Book value doesn't reflect your actual investment, get a declared value insurance policy through a Haggerty or a Grundy or one of those types of companies. And they could also include possibly track day insurance. If you get a specialty policy like a Haggerty or a Grundy, you can get a policy that will include track days. And so if you wreck the car on track...
definitely should, because he's asking about track days in the Detroit area, so you might want to look into that.
I don't know anything about anything in Detroit.
Go to Gingerman. They probably have track days there, and the track's really fun.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know anything about Detroit and Miatas, but Josh J, thoughts on NC Miatas? They are
heavy
fine
and unattractive. But
I raced one in American Endurance Racing. I did 5 races in one, and I found them to be reasonably fun to race. I mean, I don't fit in an NB or NA. The ND is really nice, but a lot more expensive.
Right.
If you're a bigger person, it'll fit the best. And you can get the power retractable hardtop, which is reasonably refined when it's closed.
Would you rather have that or a BRZ?
Oh, BRZ, 100%.
There you
100%,
go. There you go, Josh.
Yeah. Let's see. Austin says the new chip shortage info says they're expecting to last into 2024, and effects seem to be further out. To me, that says don't buy anything for a couple of years. Or buy at MSRP and flip when possible. I mean, yeah, if you want to be a profiteer on the chip shortage, allocations are worth something. Straight up. Adam McAdamface, do I mind talking about your reading habits? I used to read all the time until I stopped, and now I'm having a hard time that books exist and that I should read them. Number 1, delete social media from your phone. I'm not saying delete your accounts, just delete it from your phone. Use it from a computer. Give yourself a half hour a day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening to do some scrolling, respond to your DMs, whatever. But filling those gaps in between human interaction with social media scrolling will kill books. And then get a book.
Yeah.
Go to a local bookstore. Just walk into a local bookstore and look at the new arrivals section and pick shit up. What looks interesting? I got back into books after the 2016 election by thinking, how the fuck did Donald Trump end up the president? And I started reading about the actual history of our country as opposed to the horse shit I was taught in school. My ritzy ass private school that gave us the fucking whitest white man's history of this country ever, that was missing all kinds of shit. The Reconstruction, air quotes, was like one fucking paragraph.
The Pilgrims arrived here. They introduced the Native Americans to derivatives trading.
They had a dinner together. They ate turkey and corn. And then they gave everybody smallpox and massacred people. So my reading habits are now, I try to go to this local bookstore where I can and just find books. On the new, I like nonfiction. I don't really like fiction books. And so I try to read about history. I try to read the biographies of interesting people. Zach got me this awesome book on the history of hip hop, which I thought was really cool, like on how hip hop and money making, the business of hip hop. Why am I blanking on the title of that book, Zach?
I don't know. I think I bought you 3 books, so I can't remember them either.
The Big Payback.
That sounds right.
The Big Payback, it's called, yeah. Sapiens, you bought me, which I thought was very interesting also. That's a good one to read.
How humans evolved and kind of took over the world.
Yeah, really history is a good place to start. Yeah. Let's see. How much more we got, Zach?
Let's see, we answered this one on that show, Keeping Things on Tender.
Just got into a 2018 Golf R with DSG. I feel like it needs a little life breathed into it. Looking into getting a valved exhaust downpipe and a tune. That sounds all right. I'm thinking about the comfort of daily driving it. Skip the downpipe. Downpipes make cars really loud.
Keep your cat on the car.
Yep.
And don't make the suspension too stiff.
Yeah.
That's
don't do
really
anything to
easy.
the suspension. Golf R is adaptive shocks. Leave them the fuck alone.
And if you get a downpipe with a high flow cat, that's okay. Because it will keep it quiet and you can actually, sit in traffic and not like asphyxiate from the fumes.
Yeah. I mean, you can go a long way, just like whatever the stage 1 is on that car. I just don't make it too loud.
We've driven Ford Lightning? I have not.
I drove the first generation Ford Lightning and the second generation Ford Lightning. The second one is pretty cool. My general manager, Eric, has a second gen one. It's a cool one with a supercharged engine.
Yeah.
It's not super fast by current standards, but it has sporty seats. It has a sporty-ish suspension for a truck. The first gen Lightning, at this point, 20 years removed, it's just an old pickup truck. It doesn't. I mean, it looks cool, I guess, but like it doesn't. It's just gonna feel like an old pickup truck. It's not gonna feel fast or particularly interesting. It's got an automatic gearbox that you don't have no manual control over at all.
Like the best first gen Lightning video Ryan Semanchik filmed for Haggerty, and it was like a fully built 600 horsepower one with suspension.
And it's still not that amazing. Cool, right?
I mean, he had a great time driving it, but I think other than that, they just feel like pickup trucks.
Yeah. Oh boy, where else are we? What do you? I'm lost now, Zach.
So now we're on our crew show page. Those are all left over from the show with John.
Holy fuck! All right.
Speed round.
Speed round. Hunter Sands. At one point, does a car's infotainment become so outdated it makes the car worse? I mean, 5-6 years. I mean, easily 5-6 years. If you can't connect your phone to it, it's fucked.
If you can't do that, if the map, like I just had the new Ridgeline, and the graphics in it are so old. They look as old as the GTR, which are like from
really?
07.
Yeah.
So the maps, like the graphics are so poor that it's hard to differentiate like alleys from roads and stuff like that. That's really annoying.
Oh my God, this next one is so long. My father bought a Momentless Media. Momentless Media. My father bought a used 2015 S63 and is debating on selling it because he can make money on it. Yep, good idea. He wants an upgrade. His budget's $100 to $150K. Likes all the qualities of AMG. Okay, get an AMG. I've suggested some cars like the RS6 Avant, but he's not on board with wagons yet.
RS7.
Okay. He doesn't want to RS7, Audi RS7. Yeah, got to drive a GT3 RS recently, and he suggested a GT3 Touring. Well, he won't be able to afford one for $150,000, and that won't have enough space. E63 is a contender. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, these cars have all-wheel drive.
Yep.
If he doesn't like a wagon, the RS6 is out. You got the RS7. You got the E63.
You have to just test drive each one to see which one rides the way he wants it to ride.
I mean, it sounds like the father knows what he wants, and the son is trying to get him to buy something else. That's what I hear. It sounds like the father likes his AMG and would keep his current AMG if not for the financial market. So the answer to me is, if he can get a new E63
for even money with selling the S, then do that.
Then do that. Mm-hmm. But it seems to me like he really just wants to keep his AMG, and this dude does not want him to do that.
Yeah.
So I would say that he should just let him have his AMGs. Gunnar Ray. Having just finished the curated show, how about getting Sirio on the hunt for the auto show Miura SV? John Tamarian knows Sirio.
Yeah.
If he wants to involve Sirio, I'm sure he is capable. I have no dog in the fight.
Right.
And I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally an article written called, like, help me find this. I think people know that he wants to find it. So.
Yeah. And Sirio, by the way, charges money. I don't know if you know that,
right.
But he charges money, and the amount of money he charges is dependent on the amount of work he has to do. Finding a car that's like, hey Sirio, I'm looking for a Miura, and hey Sirio, I'm looking for the lost fucking. The amount of money you would have to pay them if they found it.
The fact John can't find it means it's hard to find.
Yeah.
So that's going to be that's like a case.
Like, I'm sure Sirio knows some people that John doesn't know. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking to sell a special Lamborghini, John is the fucking guy who wants to buy it. And pretty much everyone in the world knows that at this point. Oh boy, let's see. Let me try to. We're going to have to limit these.
Sure.
I can't read. I just can't read a paragraph for every single one of these.
Yeah.
It's just
I'd
not
say going
good.
forward we have to do some sort of
radio. I'm happy to do questions, but I can't read 300 words. Okay. All right. For occasional daily driver, 25% of the days, Would a used BMW M235i or a new GR86 be a better manual transmission rear-wheel drive experience? No plans for track days or autocross. What is your budget for maintenance? Maintenance. BMWs cost money to maintain.
Yeah, especially
out of warranty BMWs cost money to maintain. So if your budget is for the car and only the car, you know,
then get something with a warranty.
Get something with a warranty.
You know, the GR86 is cool because it makes cool sounds, and you can give it full throttle with your kids in the car, and you won't be going that fast.
Yeah,
you'll be going quick.
But
the
also,
M235 is just like a fast, refined, you know,
two
GT
small
car.
kids. The 2 Series has a more usable back seat than the 86.
Yeah, it's a nicer, more comfortable experience. Yeah, but I don't think. I don't know. What experience do you want to give them? What's your daily and what's your budget?
There isn't a daily. It doesn't say that. He has a Forester.
Daily,
he has a Forester. I need to break up the monotony of the reliable appliance driving experience that is the Subaru Forester. I mean, in that case, I might say get the BMW.
I would, because when you hit the gas, the kids are going to go, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
but you have to have the money set aside to repair it.
The one thing you don't want to do with that M235i is get the all-wheel drive. Right. Skip that.
No.
The all-wheel drive one is significantly worse than the rear-wheel drive one. So, I guess if you really got to put kids in the back, I wouldn't want to put kids in the back of an 86. It's really small back there. Really small. And an M235i will impress the kids more.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Let's see. I'm trying to abbreviate this question. All right, my garage bay wants a third car. He has a Crosstrek and a 1925 Model T. I want a convertible that my wife and I could take on weekend trips, but I'm 6 foot tall with a 36-inch inseam. Miatas have been a challenge in the past. Would it be a comfortable road trip car? Fuck to the no.
No, it's not even a comfortable road trip car for me.
Yeah, it's not a comfortable road trip car even if you fit in it because they're loud.
Yep.
The wind noise is loud.
There's not a lot of space in it.
The trunk is really small. Mm-hmm. I would say that's not a comfortable car.
In the Miata
what might be a more
range.
comfortable car in the Miata? I mean, if you're talking about a new
one.
Miata,
It's an ND.
So 25 grand.
So yeah, 25 grand. GR86.
Or like, if we're talking about used, like a Boxster would be more, or a Cayman would be more comfortable. It has front and rear trunks. It has a lot more leg room. It has more headroom. If you don't need a back seat, you know.
Used Cayman is such a good value.
It is.
Yeah.
There's maintenance involved, yes. Without the Boxster, without the power top mechanism, you're improving reliability because that top mechanism is a fail point. So like I would say you should look at really clean Caymans because really clean Caymans are good. They last. You know, they're upgradable in a variety of ways, and they're refined enough where you could drive one for 8 hours and you won't like hate yourself.
And it's a nice step up in terms of luxury, refinement, and brand, where it'll feel special because it's a special third car. Whereas I feel like
dude says he wants a convertible. He says convertible. How about a Corvette?
Okay, yeah,
a Corvette with
C6,
a removable Targa roof. You know what I mean? That way, if you put that roof on, it feels refined. You got a big trunk. You got a nice, powerful engine and a good chassis. Plenty of upgrades around. I would say maybe a Corvette. Yeah. And Corvettes are unaffected by the current increase in prices.
That's true, because they made so many of them.
They made so many of them.
And
they were bought by old people who keep them in really nice shape. Finding a really nice, clean Corvette is not hard. So I would say Corvettes. I don't. Where are we going here?
So someone asked if we would do a YouTube reviews just for Patreon. Probably not. And that doesn't get us around the DMCA
all the stuff you
law.
couldn't play. Yeah, Patreon doesn't get us around DMCA. And what would we be playing with DMCA that I wouldn't?
Now we could score our one takes. Using Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. I don't see that working.
Monterey Car Week.
Okay, what are the Monterey Car Week musts for as little money as possible? Open to splurge on something like a dope rental car or a hotel. Those are not things I would splurge on.
You don't need a cool car there because you will not compete. What you need is
and you have no choice but to splurge on a hotel.
Other cars driving around. Right, your hotel is going to be expensive anyway.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a cheap Monterey hotel.
And then go hang out at like Cannery Row and the Baja Cantina and go to these places where people just hang out and eat food, and you'll see all the cars you need.
You can just so free things to do in Monterey. The Cannery Row Car Show is one. The parking lot of the Quail. Don't even have to go in the Quail. Just the parking lot of the Quail is badass. That Baja Cantina show is cool. The 17-mile drive, the Tour de Elegance. All you got to do is get up early and post up on the side of the road, and every car that's displayed on the lawn at Pebble Beach must do the drive. That's the rule. And so you can literally see every car that's on the lawn at Pebble Beach going by you, running, driving from one fucking lawn chair, and it costs $0. So there's that. Hang out downtown. Hang out right outside the hotels where the auctions are being, all the auction, a lot of the auction previews are free. You don't need a ticket to go into you need a ticket to go into the auction, but for a couple days before the auctions, those cars are out on display and you can just walk around and poke around.
The Historics is awesome. If you wanted to spend money, if you want to buy a ticket,
sure.
I would say if you were going to buy one ticket to something, do everything we just described and go to the Historics, because then you're watching old race cars kind of race, making lots of noise, and that is a pretty exciting thing.
Yep. Miguel Flores thinks we should have Marquez Brown. Is it Marquez? Is that how you pronounce his name?
We hit him up on Instagram. He's not responded yet, so if you follow him, ping him and tell him to come on the show.
Yep. Kurt Bergstedt, what do you recommend for a canyon handling suspension setup for a GTO? No idea.
I don't know. I would look at the GTO forums for that.
Yeah.
And I know the car's heavy, so try to hide the weight.
Yeah.
And more tire will help you.
Yeah, I mean, square setup. Well, square setup or staggered like a 225 front and 305 back like a McLaren 620R. Tire. So let me just. I'm gonna use that as a jumping off point.
Okay.
The way that you determine your front and rear tire sections are the weight distribution of the car. So a McLaren 620R has 225s in the front and 305s in the back because there's no weight in the front of the car, right? It's a mid-engine car. Front-engine cars, like a Mustang or a Camaro or a GTO, you want a wide tire in the front. So that's why the Shelby 350R runs a 3, and the ZL1 Camaros run 305s all around, because you need a wide tire to turn in that, because the front engine cars, they want to go straight.
Right.
And they don't want to turn in. So you need a big tire up front to turn in. If you run a stagger, like a 225 in the front and 305, you will understeer off a cliff.
Yeah, that's like a drag tire setup.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Basically.
So you don't want that.
So you want as close to square as you can fit in. And I don't know if you can fit perfectly square in a GTO. I think you can. You can go back and watch some of my older videos with GTOs. I don't really remember at this point. I know you can fit a square in an F-body Camaro. So if you can do that, you probably can. But with a front engine car that's a heavy car like that, you want to go close to square.
Yep.
For sure.
Because you need more tire up front and traction on exit.
Yes. Keegan Keller says, what is the dual sport that Zack has, and what motor is it?
It's an MZ Bagheera. It's like a 2002, and the engine is a single cylinder
Yamaha
650.
Ein Cylinder.
Yeah. Exactly. The brochure is so funny.
Yeah. It's like an East German motorcycle.
Yes, with a Japanese engine, and I believe the brakes were made in Spain, is what Must have told me.
Matthew Schwepp, we've already answered that question for someone else. I assume you heard it. Martin says, Lexus IS 500 or Genesis G70 as an only car. The G70 was very nice. I liked it in my review from, I don't know, it must have been a year and a half ago, 2 years ago at this point. I'd probably have the IS 500 because it is a special sleeper.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Aaron Walker, would Maximum Motorsports suspension kit work well with a V6 Mustang? It will work with any car. I mean, any Mustang. You'd not necessarily have to be a V8. However, I don't recommend putting a lot of money into a V6 Mustang. I just think you'd reach the limit of the performance much earlier.
Yeah.
And V8 Mustangs are so plentiful that you could sell the V6, get a V8, and the difference isn't all that much in relative terms.
Yeah, because you're talking about buying new performance parts to put on a V6 Mustang. If you were saying I found these GT350 parts in a junkyard that I could put on, like, sure.
Yeah.
But you're spending money on a platform that is already pretty much behind the ball.
Yeah.
So I would not do that.
Yeah. The V6 Mustang isn't terrible.
No, it's not.
But I just... You
But you're gonna
always
put
want to
thousands of
start
dollars,
with
right.
the highest performing factory variant you can afford.
Yeah.
And if you've got enough money for a full Maximum Motorsports kit, you've got enough money to get yourself into a GT.
Yes.
Possibly a GT that someone's already modified.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's a great way to save money.
Yeah.
Honest to God. Find someone else's track project. And
Right.
like someone said, Andrew responded, your car still weighs 3,800 pounds. So you still don't have a lot of power. And you asked, would it be comparable to a Miata? Not at all. But this is why in like Continental Tire Series or the IMSA series, you'll see a Miata racing a V8 powered Mustang in the same class because the cornering speed of the Mustang or the Miata is so much greater than the Mustang, even though they have a giant horsepower difference.
Right. Nick Bogner, how is the transmission in the IS 500? Would driving the IS F Sport give the same transmission impressive? So the one I drove was an IS 500 F Sport. I don't know if he's thinking of something else. There might be a full ISF coming later. We don't know. It's not been confirmed. I found the transmission to be fairly lazy in drive mode, but pretty responsive when you start using the paddles. So, it's an okay gearbox. There's nothing wrong with it. It's robust. It's well matched to the engine. But if you just leave it in D with all the settings in comfort, it's pretty lazy. And if you put it in sport manual and you rev it up, it's pretty responsive. So yeah, like all automatic gearboxes, you need to have control. And so when you leave it to its own device, it's kind of, and if you control it, it's pretty good.
As long as it responds when you control it.
It does. It responds when you control it. Let's see.
Let's go to Joe.
Joe Leonard, I'd love to get your take on the increasingly common worry among the youngest end of enthusiasts I meet that they will never own a manual enthusiast car. Why not?
There's a lot of used ones
I don't
for sale.
understand. Like, they worry that they'll never own a manual car. Like, why don't they buy one?
Right.
That's a weird thing to say. I'm worried I'll never own a manual car. Well, why don't you buy one?
What they might be saying is, I'm worried I'll never own a new manual transmission car because they're getting phased out. That's a valid worry, but there's no solution to that other than more people buying manual transmissions, which we know isn't really happening. So they have to buy one that's used or slightly used or whatever, and that's just how it's going to be. I mean, the market is marching in the direction it's marching in. It's been going that way for 20 years. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I like driving stick cars, but what can I tell you? We're a very small percentage of the customers.
Yeah.
And traffic in the places where people are living is getting worse. Manuals no longer have more ratios than automatics, so the fuel economy thing isn't an argument. Manuals are now often the same. You don't save money versus the automatic anymore, so that argument is gone. It's not faster. Right. So, it's that it is what it is. Oh man, what do we got? Alejandro, oh Jesus, we're not going to get through all these. I'm sorry. We're going to try. No, we're not. I'm running out of energy. Alejandro says, I'm the third owner of a 100,000-mile E60 M5. I've put 26,000 miles on it. It's given me no issues, et cetera, et cetera. Given the future of internal combustion engines, do you predict a similar trend in sales of used M cars like that of the E39 M5? Your car with that many miles, I don't know how to tell you this, is not a collector's item. Even a 100,000-mile E39 M5 is not a collector's item. It always starts with, and first, do you think it's worth holding on to until there are no more internal combustion engines? No.
I mean, now you're going to hold this car for
20, 30 years?
40, yeah.
And insure it the whole time?
Decades, and then...
And maintain it the whole time, and drive it the whole time?
And let's say right now it's worth, let's just, for a number, $20,000. And then let's say you hold it for 40 years, and it's magically worth $26,000.
Has that been a good investment?
In 30 years, it's probably not. You're losing money either way.
Don't
drive it and have fun with it.
Yeah.
And then when you're done having fun with it, move on.
And also, just as a general advice, your enthusiast car is not necessarily going to be collectible. E39 M5 is a great example. Do you know what ones bring a ton of money? The ones with fucking no miles on them.
Right. They go for huge money.
The ones that have a bunch of miles on them, not so much. It's just the way it is. This dude's got 100K on this car.
Right. Jalopnik just had a car up. It was an E39 M5, and it was for sale on Bring a Trailer, and it went for like $20,000 because it was a driver.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be worth, depending on the condition it's in.
If you're lucky, if you're the luckiest person on the planet, you might get most of your money back from that car. But that's a used car at this point.
Do you want to save the rest? Starting at the name, man.
Yeah, I'm tired.
All right. I mean, that's an hour 40.
Yeah, and there's nothing that's like nothing really groundbreaking here. A lot of repetitive stuff. I like it. There's a lot of the same things. Let me see if I can find. Wait, anything there that's not the same at the bottom. Paul Morrow, here's an easy one. Would I get the air suspension or DRC on the Audi RS6? I would get the air suspension because it rides better. And that's a highway car. And the DRC was better in the canyons, but it's still a very heavy, pushy canyon car. I would buy the suspension that's more optimized for road tripping. Dan Green, what are you reading right now? I just read this book on loneliness. And... fuck, what's the name of it? Oh, I just blanked on it. Is it called? Oh shit. Can you just like Google loneliness book real quick? It's really it's a new one. It's a graphic novel. Seek You. That's it. Seek You: A Journey Through Loneliness. It's like a 300-page graphic.
Cool.
It's really cool. I blasted through it in about 2 hours on the plane. Hannah encouraged me to read it, and it's basically it's a study about loneliness that has many, many examples, and it was started before the pandemic and finished during the pandemic when we were all kind of forced into loneliness.
Right.
I recommend it. It's very, very cool. It's not a hard read, and it really made me think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are you reading anything of interest?
I was reading Black Elk Speaks, which is basically one of the Native Americans who kind of was alive in the 1800s and lived into the 1900s, and tells the story of what happened when white people showed up because he was old enough to like be a kid when that really happened, and then stayed alive long enough for someone to find him and write this down.
How interesting!
It is crazy.
What's it called?
Black Elk Speaks.
Oh, all right.
It's interesting, and of course terrible.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's got to be very depressing.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, the writing is beautiful, and the way they lived was beautiful, and you just really get a look into how, they go from having control of all the land and traveling here and eating here and moving with the seasons and the migrations, all that stuff, and how that space just got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
White people are the fucking worst. Ugh, manifest destiny is the worst concept ever fucking created.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you to our Patreon members for submitting questions. I'm sorry that it's physically impossible for me to get to all of them, especially when a bunch of them seem to really overlap. The little nuances of Porsche, one Porsche versus another Porsche and stuff like that. I guess, it was one thing when people were literally paying for the actual question. I felt a little more of an obligation, whereas now, when we have so many questions and a lot of them are really very wordy, I think we have to figure out a strategy to boil these paragraphs down to, I would say in the future on the Patreon, like, if you write a paragraph, I'm less likely to I know I say give me more information a lot of times, but like
you can make it concise though. I think we'll put a guide at the top of these posts where it's like, if you're asking a question, try to keep it to like 3 sentences,
ideally,
and provide information within that construct.
Because we're trying to do good radio also.
Yeah.
It's not only Q&A, it's good radio, and if I have to read a 300-word question, that's going to be a hole in the radio show. Mm-hmm. So, we want to make this the best radio show it can be, and we definitely appreciate our Patreon members for participating in the Q&A, and like, it's a big part of this show, but we also we want it to be engaging for those.
Right.
Who are not involved in that, and it's got to flow. And if I got to stop and read a big paragraph, I think and this is it's an ongoing process. I'm not trying to like crap on people. We didn't know. I didn't know.
This is the first
one
like
of these.
cruise show, I think, with the Patreon with the questions carried over and stuff. And
Yeah,
there's a lot
and
of
where
them.
we had more questions than we could actually get to. So thank you to supporting us at patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. If you want to be get these shows ahead of time, get these shows without advertising, and ask your questions, that's how you do it. It's very affordable. Thanks to all you guys for listening. What's the rest of our show schedule the rest of this week, Zach?
We have Taylor Hull on Thursday evening, Formula Drift Driver.
Yes.
And then we have Don
Osborne on Friday. He's going to be
Yeah.
calling in from Newport, Rhode Island, and I'm going to his big car show, the Audi Concours, which is going to be at the end of this month, September 29th to October 2nd, I believe, in Newport. Me and my dad are taking the boat out there. We're going to be yachting.
Yes, yachting to the car show.
Yeah, so I'm excited to check that out. And Don Osborne of Haggerty and Jay Leno's Garage is going to be calling into the show to talk about all the stuff that's going on at the Audi Concours in Newport, Rhode Island at the end of September. I'm stoked to have Don on. He's a good guy. He's a very nice guy. So thanks to everybody for listening, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. Bye.